Hey guys, Seth Fuller, your favorite MMA judge here. By request, a lot of y'all said, hey, can you go over the fights, maybe release the next day? That's what I'm going to do, except I'm not going over all the fights. There was like 3 split decisions and 2 a majority draw. And so to go over all those, especially since one of them in particular was incredibly boring, I think would lose you and would take a long time. So instead, I'm going to start with one fight, and if you have any requests, you could post them, and maybe I could fit in one in each week. Probably not. This is not my day job. So again, thank you for your support, everybody, first of all, and if you have anything, put it down there in the comments. I really try to answer all comments, but in the meantime, today I'm going to concentrate on one fight. It was an incredible fight. It was Nate Landwehr versus David Onama, and it was a back-and-forth fight. And the first round was decidedly for David Onama. He beat Nate Landwehr decisively. Now, I have to operate in the no 10-7s, no 10-10 world when I judge, but when I'm doing these videos, I'm actually going to operate in my world, which is I would give 10-8s and 10-7s sometimes. This would be the very rare time of 10-7s. I think 10-7s should be less than 3% of all fights. But what I would have done is a 10-8 for David Onama in the first round. I thought he was dominant. I really do. To call that a 10-9 is like, again, give it the same score as if he'd won by 1 punch. Ridiculous. So I would have called it 10-8, but then I would have called the second round. Honestly, Nate Landwehr whooped Onama up and down the mat. I would call that a very rare 10-7. Not if I was judging cage side, but if I had my druthers in Seth's judging world of how I think everyone should judge. I really do think they should judge it, but I also understand the commissions are not going to allow me to judge it that way. Not going to take that kindly, and so I would judge it the way they did. Both judges saw the first round 10-9 for Onama. The second round, when Landwehr whooped on Onama, he got the 10-8. So regardless, all the judges saw it the same. A 1-point deficit going to the third round for David Onama. But one judge saw David Onama winning the third round. And in my watching the fights for fun and entertainment hat on, I didn't see that at all. So I'm excited to go back and judge it one for one and kind of break it down and tell you how I would judge it if I was judging it live. And so I hope you enjoy it. I hope you didn't already stop it. Here we go. Let's check out the fight. So I'm going to watch it without sound. As I said, did not get a copyright. And I think it helps, even though I love to hear the sounds, and that's the best part of being cage side, as far as best advantage of judging cage side is to hear these punches. But to do it without the commentators is the second best part. And so I'm going to forego hearing the punches in order to hear the commentators. Future Seth here. I'm speeding up the striking clips so that we can get through this faster. So right now, as it goes, I think the fight is pretty much dead even now. This is why we'd have 10-10 rounds. I don't think anybody has done anything they both exchanged jabs, have landed about the same intensity. Again, both of them landed one harder than the other, kind of 2 jabs apiece and a bunch of missed punches. So right now it's even going 30 seconds in. So I'm going to stop it right there. And so far I've done it in 30-second sections. That's convenient. But I think that that exchange right there, and it was a long exchange. Usually you have shorter exchange. That was a very long exchange with a lot of back and forth. I think Onama came in, landed a few punches early and took advantage of that and went ahead. And then Landwehr was able to get that Muay Thai plum, was able to land a knee, a couple of shots, and then kept landing shots. Some of them blocked, but I think they all had a little bit of impact, and a couple of them did get through. And then he was able to get the takedown. And so that exchange, I think for sure went with Landwehr. I'd call it up by a punch and a half. Is kind of where I go. I don't really do punches. I do, in my head, I kind of do, like you could do racing boats, or I do like a scale. And so Landwehr is up by like a punch and a half, 2-punch exchange at this point, and he's on top And so now I'm looking in my brain, what's he going to do on top? But if I call the first 30 seconds even and the 7 set at 30 seconds, I believe Landwehr is up by a couple of solid punches. This is hilarious. He doesn't get any points for this except from the crowd, but I think he was doing this the whole time, and I think it's awesome. He doesn't want to go into that world. He doesn't want to show any control, but and he kind of getting a break and getting himself hyped and being the character. I think this guy really wants to be well known in the UFC, and this is a great way to do it. Boy, Mike. Poor Mike Beltran is like, well, it's not really fighting. He's not really running away, but what is going on? It's like I used to ref and judge Trailblazer Kevin Holland's fights, and when he talked, you're just like, what am I supposed to do? He's talking to the guy on the ground. You're not supposed to, because it could be colluding, like in a wrestling match. But also I could hear what Kevin was saying. He's just talking smack the whole entire time. So it's against the rules, really, but it doesn't really hurt anybody. And so you don't know what to do as a ref. And I think that's what Mike Beltran was here. He's like, what am I supposed to do? Fight, dude. Let's go. Their time's running out. Okay, so here's where I think that is important. He just dropped Onama with a solid elbow. Now, again, if I was to look at that and Onama wouldn't have reacted, I wouldn't give him much credence to it. So far, Landwehr is now was ahead by about 3 punches by dropping that elbow. I think that puts him squarely ahead. I would call that a power punch, something that affects him greatly. So he's ahead by like 4 standard punches or standard strikes and a power punch, if I was counting that way. Again, just in my brain, he's kind of leveled up to starting to pull away a little bit, whereas Onama could have before that caught back with a couple of just a couple exchanges with a couple of strikes. 1 or 2 of those he would have caught back up. Now Landwehr is starting to kind of get way out ahead. And again, controlling the whole time and using that control to land strikes, to implement his game plan, to almost finish the fight. This looks like he could have finished it. This is a big moment. And again, in boxing, this would be a drop, and we would get a 10 count. So I think that's important to consider in these. And again, we're back to the getting up, cheering for everybody. And then Onama, to his credit, thank you, because this is what I tell the people who are fighting Kevin Holland. Like, don't listen to him, just go. So Onama, to his credit, not bad sportsmanship at all. This is a fight. You're beating me. I got to get ahead. So he throws a left hand that he barely catches him. Maybe at the end of the strike, didn't really. Landwehr was able to get away with it, from it. Didn't seem to hurt him. So again, I would call this even. Onama landed 2 that did seem to land. Landwehr landed 1 that I thought was a little harder. Onama seemed to be glancing blows. That didn't seem to land. Now, here it is. Dude. Onama has now landed this one back here. That one stumbled Landwehr, and really gave him a rocking. Again, I think he was already exhausted. He didn't fall down. But that one, I would give half the credit of that elbow. It didn't drop him, but it definitely stunned him and hurt him, did some damage. So I'm going to give him maybe half a credit towards that, a little bit. So now he needs to win a 2 or 3 punch, get over a 2 to 3 punch deficit, and a half of a hard hit, which again I would say another 2 or 3 punches. So if he gets maybe 4 to 6 punches ahead, or 1 hard punch and 4 punches, in my brain he's going to come out ahead on my scale. Now, most of those missed, but that one's hard. That one hit. All these are a little bit glancing. And so right up to this point, all those were glancing, but they were significant. At that point, I would have put Onama still that half a power punch or two to three solid punches behind Landwehr. And now Landwehr has landed those little ones. Those are probably all, in my opinion, equal to one regular punch, non-power punch. And then he doesn't seem to land this knee too hard. But again, I still have Landwehr head by half a solid punch, or a solid punch, or half a power punch. So now he's exhibiting control and able to land a knee. So again, these are just cumulative strike. Look, that's hurting him. So now we're up by at least one hard, hurtful punch and a bunch of little cumulative ones, which don't score as much, but Landwehr is now landing much better. So I have him by several power punches and a decent two to three regular punches. There was a decent punch, but it was followed by Onama, but there was followed by an elbow for Landwehr. I put Onama's a little more, so he made up a small, tiny percentage of the deficit, but I think Landwehr is still pretty comfortably ahead by a solid power punch or 4 to 5 regular punches. Because these knees, again, another knee that hurt him. A head kick that was blocked, but again, he flexes, shows it doesn't hurt, and then lands a good power punch. So now, a solid punch. It didn't rock him or anything, but it was a solid punch. Now, I don't think any of those landed real well, and then another knee that dropped Onama to the ground. At this point, he has dropped him twice with effective strikes, leading to much more immediate damage and leading towards the end of the fight, and now he's on top controlling. So unless they get up, in my book, I do not see how Onama can come back. Unless you're thinking that some of those punches that I saw from watching this video, having not landed for Onama, landed, I don't understand how at this point you can have him anything but significantly behind. He's been dropped twice, and he's only landed 2 good solid punches that might have wobbled a Landwehr, if that. So judge can't rewind it, but I want to show you what a judge probably saw. Landwehr has dropped Onama twice at this point, and Onama has never dropped him once, and again, I think would be behind by at least 4 solid punches, 2 power punches. I mean, he's quite a bit behind. And so this last flurry, does it make up for it? Well, one judge obviously thought so. I'm going to play it again and kind of go over what actually happened. So there was the, just icing on the cake, calf kick, a punch that missed. Landwehr lands one and gets rocked by a right hand. So Landwehr got rocked by a right hand that had him stumbling backwards. Is it the same as a drop? It certainly was a solid left hand. Since it rocked and dropped him, I would put it as a power punch. I'll go ahead and give him credit for that, but I also have to consider that he wasn't standing in place and just dropped down like Onama did. He was falling back and seemed to have lost his balance and immediately recovered. Doesn't seem out at all. So then he lands another one that kind of sits him on his butt. But again, Landwehr is right back up on the single, wrestling up. Onama doesn't land any of those. So let's say I even gave him the shot that knocked him down and then the shot that sat him on his butt. All the rest, I don't think any of them were solid. I don't have Onama winning this. If a judge saw that drop and saw that punch, and he thought that those were more damaging than the 2 short drops to Onama, maybe he thought Onama was just trying to pull guard and get to guard, then I could see how you do this. But me, personally, So it was Judge Michael Bell who had it as a 10-9 round. I disagree with him, but again, I definitely wouldn't call that a robbery. I'd call that him seeing punches that he thought landed that maybe didn't look like they landed from here, or him giving more credit to the punches that Onama was landing. But again, even on his scorecard, it was a tie. And so you had a majority decision instead of a unanimous decision. And so Junichiro Kamajo and Derek Cleary both scored it the same, 29-27 for Landwehr. I think Landwehr was the absolute winner no matter what. I like that score in the final. Now, here's what's crazy. After I said all that, it was for sure a 10-9 round. And we're back to why our scoring system is ridiculous. Because on every one of these scorecards, the first round where Onama dominated Landwehr, I mean, had him hurt bad. Looked like it was about to end. And Landwehr never really came back too hard. That very one-sided round is a 10-9, the same score as that round that it was razor close. I mean, even I had it four solid punches the difference, right? That's crazy that those two things are the same. So we're back to me thinking this is a ridiculous system. Go back and watch that first round yourself and see if you think that was the same margin of victory as the third round, either way. Thanks for watching, you guys. Looks like this is quite a while. I would be glad to keep doing these. They do last a while, longer than I think. Anyways, thanks, guys. I appreciate you listening to me. If you did, I hope this brought you into what I'm thinking as a judge and what I see. I'd love to hear where you disagree. Again, more constructive is always better, but if you just want to say, hey, you're a piece of crap like a lot of you seem to love, it is YouTube. What do you want? It's the internet. I got thick skin, I promise you. So thank you guys for watching. I hope this is what you wanted. Put your requests in the comments of some rounds, controversial rounds you might like to see. Again, I thought about doing the 10-8 from the first fight in this, but I would have to show some interest because my 16,000 viewer video doesn't mean you are going to watch this video, as my last video is sitting at like 200 that I talk about what to me a more important topic as far as the scoring goes than the previous video. But now I'm babbling, and now it's getting too long. Thank you guys. Have yourself a good one.